Hello everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. My name is Modulus, and in this video we'll explore loops and iteration in Python. We'll cover while loops, for loops for iterating over sequences, and loop control statements such as break and continue. So let's get started. Let's begin with while loops. While loops allow us to repeatedly execute a block of code as long as a condition remains true. Here's the basic syntax. So the syntax for a while loop goes as follows. We use the while keyword followed by a condition with a colon after the end, and anything inside of the while loop will be run while the condition is true. So here's a while loop in action. We create a variable named count and set the value to 0. And then we're using a while loop to say while the count is less than 5. Because 0 is less than 5, anything under the while loop will be run. We are going to print count colon, as that is in quotes, and then a comma and then the count variable. This is just a very simple way of concatenating something. So when this prints the first time, it will print count colon and then 0, as 0 is the count variable when we're going inside of the while loop. In the next line, we're saying count plus equals 1. This is a shorthand way of saying count is equal to count plus 1. Basically, we're just adding 1 to the count value. So if we add 1 to 0, we'll get 1. So the while loop will be run over again. Now count is 1, it's less than 5, it's going to say print count, and then 1, and then it's going to keep going until the number is less than 5. So if we save this and run, you can see count 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. 5 was not printed because 5 is not less than 5. Next, let's talk about for loops. For loops are used to iterate over a sequence, such as a list, string, or range of numbers. Here's the basic syntax. We have the for keyword followed by an element, and this element is something that's going to be inside of a sequence, which is a list, string, or range of numbers. Now for every single element in that sequence, the code inside will be executed for that element. So here's a working example of a for loop. We start off by creating a variable named fruits and assigning it to a list. Now you know this is a list when there are square brackets around the strings that are inside of the list. They may not necessarily be strings, they could be numbers or anything else. In this case, we have a list with strings of different types of fruits, each moved with a comma: apple, banana, and orange. We're using the for loop for fruit, which is apple, banana, and orange. Inside of the fruits list, we're going to print I love and then the concatenation fruit. So if we save and run this, we get I love apple, I love banana, and I love orange printed in the output. We can also use the range function to iterate over a sequence of numbers. So here is an example. So instead of creating a list like this, so numbers is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it could be easy, but what if you had like 100 numbers or 1,000 numbers? It won't be ideal to write all of them in. Instead, just specifically for numbers, we can use the range function. So we can say for number in the range of through 1 through 5, we can print number colon and then concatenate it with the number. Now a big thing with range is that the first number is included, but the last numbers is not. So if I save and run this, you will see number 1, 2, 3, and 4. 5 was not printed. If you want 5 to be printed, you have to add 1 to the number. So 6. Now, numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 will be printed to the output. Sometimes we need to control the flow of a loop. Python provides two loop control statements, break and continue. The break statement is used to exit a loop prematurely. This is typically used when a certain condition is met. Here's an example. So here's how to use break in a while loop. We first start off by creating a variable named count and setting the value to it of 0. And then we're creating a while loop called while true. Now because we have true here, this will run infinitely unless we stop the loop, which we will come to. We are going to print count colon and then concatenate it with the variable count. We're going to add 1 to count, and then underneath all this, we're going to check if count is equal to 5. If count is equal to 5, we're going to break. Note that you can only use break in a while loop, but it doesn't have to be directly under the while loop. It can be inside of an if statement or whatever, but all of that must be inside of a while loop. So, if we run this, save and run, you can see that we print 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. 5 was not printed because if we had 5, we are supposed to break. We're not supposed to print it. The continue statement is used to skip the rest of the code block and move to the next iteration of the loop. It is typically used when we want to skip certain elements or conditions. Here is an example. So we're creating a list named numbers with the numbers 1 through 10, and then we're using a for loop to say for number in numbers. And yes, you are right. We could use a for number in range 1 through 11, but I just wanted to put a list. But if you did say that, you are correct. Now, inside of the for loop for every single number, we're going to check if number modulo, which we learned in the first video, modulo pretty much means the remainder of the number. So, if we divide the number by 2 and the remainder is 0, then we're going to continue. And then we're going to print odd number and then concatenate it with number. This is like a nice filtering system to filter all of the even numbers away and then just keep the odd numbers. Because even numbers will actually make this statement true, and it just says continue. We're not going to break the loop completely. We're just going to say, don't care about that number, just go to the next number. So if I save and run this, you're going to see that all of the odd numbers under 10 will be printed. Great job! In this video, we explored loops and iteration in Python. We covered while loops for repeated execution based on a condition, for loops for iterating over sequences like lists and ranges, and loop control statements such as break and continue. If you like this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the Modulus YouTube channel. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!